Hey everyone, Ian. I'm back on the
Hey,
Ian Cast, permanent guest.
yes, of course.
And
Co-host.
we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, but later. But I put on my Bitcoin non-hoodie hoodie on because there's big goings on in crypto. But we're going to get to that second. First, let's talk about the stock market. To everyone's surprise, Ian,
Yeah, it keeps
market's going
going
up.
up. Yeah.
And we were talking earlier, there is a kind of meme that's out there about the stock market that, like just today, you were saying you saw about three times.
Yeah, people keep saying, the three words retest the low. I've heard it, every day for probably the past 2 weeks at least.
It's not just retest the March low, Ian. This
The
is
March, yeah, the March low.
the March low. I have seen that. Like I saw it actually splashed on Market Watch right before I got on for the
Yeah,
Ian Cast. I saw that on, and it's an interesting thing that like that this has become such a common belief that we have to retest the low.
yep.
And you and I, we were on with our investment team earlier, and we believe something different.
Yeah, first of all, there have been plenty of bounce backs in the market that haven't retested the low. For example, in 2018, when the S&P went down, 20%, a lot of stocks were down more than that. It bounced right back in January and never went anywhere close to that again. So it's kind of like an idea that's ingrained in people's minds, but it doesn't always have to happen. And there's plenty of examples of that. But this time, yeah, we really see a lot of demand for stocks right now. Nobody has expected this. We're the one of the few people, at least that I've heard, that say this is going to be a V bottom, and it's not really pricing in anything with the coronavirus anymore because everybody already knows what's happening with the coronavirus. Of course, cases are slowing in a lot of the world, but the stock market is now pricing in what growth is going to be when the market returns. It's always anticipating what is going to go on in the future, at least 6 to 12 months, sometimes even more than that. Right now, everybody knows what's going on now, but what's important is in the future. And right now, we're seeing, the adoption of a bunch of technologies really accelerate faster than they would have otherwise. So it's pricing in that kind of really huge innovation boom that we're going to have after this is all said and done.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier, which is that not only, a lot of people are waiting for the last coronavirus case to show up and thinking that that's the moment. However, we talked about it last week, which is that so many home builders are indicating that there is no real slowdown. I mean, some of them
Right.
are accelerating sales into this period where, you would think that there would be a slowdown. And I have been personally of the opinion that last week I said, hey, we feel that there's going to be a V bottom. I actually think that it is going to be a sort of a V bottom with an arrow at the top. In
Yeah.
other words, an accelerating growth bottom. In other words, we're going to come out of it. And when we are going to start to see some big numbers, I mean, the stock market is telling us that by what it is bidding up. The
Right.
cyclical stocks, the housing stocks, industrial stocks, semi stocks. It's not just telling you that there's going to be a recovery. It's telling you that the economy when it comes back is actually going to be stronger than
Right.
it was before we entered this.
Exactly. And that's, the whole America 2.0 kind of cornerstone of that is that these are the areas that are seeing the most innovation, and they're the foundation of what's going to be the new economy. It's way more efficient technology than we've ever had before. So, we're going to manufacture more, we're going to have more things, spending's going to go up, and that's what drives the economy in total.
I mean, it for sure hits like, the three sort of basic elements of America 2.0. Number one is the big generation, your generation in millennial generation, coming of age, making more money, buying houses, having kids, buying cars, which is the basis of like all economic growth. The
Right.
second element is that it's driven by housing, which is like, the biggest expense. Like the idea that we're going to go into a depression and there's people in their 30s that are going out there making the biggest expenditure of their life.
Right.
That's kind of crazy. And the third thing that you would see is the fact that we've got these incredible technological megatrends that are underpinning the change that's going around, combined with the fact that we are now starting to bring back manufacturing back to the United States, which is going to drive income, drive employment. And that's the basis of the America 2.0 boom that we've been telling you about, the fourth industrial revolution that we've been telling you about. And this whole thing has, as Ian's talking about, absolutely accelerated, completely accelerated all of that change back down to a couple of months.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty incredible. I've seen a lot of stuff about how, new methods of engineering and 3D printing and things like that are really going to drive manufacturing, we've been talking or hearing about an infrastructure deal that's going to get made or talked about in the near future. So there's a lot going on right now, and that's going to create a lot of jobs going forward too.
Yeah, and then we should also mention that, from a macro perspective, you showed me this chart showing the spike in liquidity that the Federal Reserve has generated as a result of this panic. And
Right.
Ian's chart showed that the only time we've seen an equivalent amount put in was during the Y2K panic in 1999.
Yeah, so it's like two really big, like kind of doomsday times where people think the world's going to end. People are hoarding cash, and that cash is eventually going to have to go somewhere. People aren't going to put it in the bank when you don't have any interest rates. So it's going to come into the stock market. And another thing that I think is going to go into is Bitcoin and cryptos. That's going to be a huge area.
Well, just hold on to that for 1 second, and just, so that if you look at the chart, maybe we can pop that up just for a
Yeah.
second so everyone can see. You'll see the Y2K in about 1998, probably 1999. The big difference, Ian, between then and now is that back then we were at the end, at the peak of the baby boomer demographic wave, and where it had, the stock market had been booming for approximately 20 years, and the real estate markets had been booming for similar time. And here we're actually on the beginnings of
Yeah.
the millennial boom age that's coming, where this liquidity is going to go into as well a deflationary period because of all the incredible technology we have, the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, blockchain, new energy, precision medicine. These are all deflationary technologies. So this money can go in and it would help accelerate change because it would increase investment into all of these new things, and there would be no inflation. So these are absolutely the perfect conditions under which this can happen. BOP, as I say, bullish, optimistic, and positive. That's my hashtag on Twitter, and I'm at Mampilly Guru. And Ian, give folks your Twitter handle.
Yeah, so I'm at Ian Dyer Guru on Twitter. So
And then
yeah,
if you
we're
want
talking
to
all
check
about
out,
this all the time.
and if you want to check out my America 2.0 video where we lay out this entire case, incredible detail, really well done. Click on the strong hands above, and that will take you to a page with all the details about my America 2.0 project, my America 2.0 video, everything you need to know. Phenomenal video, gives you all the details, and 2 special reports, including one phenomenal, incredible stock that I believe represents the future of our country through manufacturing, through the making of things that we now understand is so critical. Also equally tells you about 100 companies that represent the past, America 1.0, that are fading away and that you'll want to clear out of your portfolio so you can own some phenomenal America 2.0 stocks instead. All right, we talked about, you mentioned Bitcoin. So, and I'm wearing my pseudo Bitcoin hoodie here.
I like it.
And so we were talking earlier that this week, actually, there's been 2 halvenings of, I don't know, Bitcoin forks, Bitcoin clones, whatever you want to call it. One is Bitcoin Cash, and one is BSV, which is, I forget what it stands for. I think it's
Satoshi's vision.
no, something like that. I forget. It goes under BSV. And I was texting you on Slack and saying, hey, this is like preceding the Bitcoin halvening that is coming up now. I believe the last time I checked, it's May 11th. So it's the last time I mentioned it was May 13th. So it keeps speeding up.
Yeah.
And that means like in the space of about a month, the number 1 crypto, which is Bitcoin, I believe the number 4 crypto, which is Bitcoin Cash, and I believe BSV is number 6 or 7
Right.
in there, are all going to see the supply shock.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the new amount that's going to be able to be mined is being cut in half. So that's for Bitcoin, where there's 18 million out of 20, or over 18 million out of 21 million that's ever going to be mined is already out there. And going forward, it's the new amount that is going to be able to be mined every day is cut in half. So Bitcoin Cash and BSV don't have 18 million yet, but they're going to slow down too. But with Bitcoin, so much of the supply has already been mined that any demand is just going to push up the price of Bitcoin really fast, faster than it ever has before. So that is definitely something.
Because both of those are forks of Bitcoin, they're actually on identical halvening schedules, and they both have
Right.
similar amounts already out there. So they're all very accelerated, and it's also coming at a time when there is unprecedented amounts of liquidity in the financial system to go in and buy. In other words, interest rates are zero. So any number of institutional investors, if they were considering going into crypto, now is the moment that they would be like, hey, let's hedge. Let's push a little bit into crypto,
Right.
and into this moment when supply is shrinking, and not shrinking a little. You're talking about going from 12 and a half to 6 and a quarter. And you've had a couple of charts. We should put those charts up. You've shown me before about the number of addresses with 1 Bitcoin in it. And we'll put that chart up, which has just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And then the other one is even more amazing, the number of addresses with 0.1 Bitcoin in it, which is also skyrocketing. So that tells you that the demand continues to be there. And for the vast majority of people, they just continue to hold it.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a stat out there that says the number of addresses that have Bitcoin that have been holding for 1 year and just not touched it, not sold or done anything. I think that's over 60% of all Bitcoin that's been mined. So it's people that are buying in, and this recent dip saw a lot of that too, because people were able to buy in for a price that we're probably never going to see again, and that was unexpected. That drew a whole new crowd of people that didn't get in before, and they are definitely in it for the long run.
And then you've mentioned, a crypto that, that's actually fairly new. I believe it just came out in 2018, maybe even 2019, which is Chainlink. So, I mean, and those are all getting bid up too.
Yep. Yeah, the smaller ones too, which is a great sign. Tezos is another one. Ethereum Classic. So, and of course, regular Ethereum, which is kind of like the silver to Bitcoin if it was gold. So yeah, some of the smaller ones, there's definitely there's going to be a huge run up, because, if Bitcoin goes up, it's going to draw a lot of buyers into the smaller ones too. But when you see the smaller ones start to lead a rally at the very beginning, that's a great sign.
It's actually not that different from what's going on in terms of stocks, where small cap stocks are leading. And any number of these cryptos represent real solutions that have sort of like come up as a result of the coronavirus panic. In other words, money got locked up in the financial system and you couldn't get it out. And, I sent you a couple of articles about how a number of banks are now using Ripple for foreign exchange, especially between 2 non-major currencies. Ripple represents like a solution where if you're, say, want to exchange between Mexican pesos and Thai baht, you can use Ripple instead of needing to go through dollars or go through yen and then, go through any number of hops. You can just do it directly. So any number of like these cryptos actually now represent more efficient, more convenient, more accessible, and significantly cheaper solutions than what the financial system can really offer.
Yeah, I mean, trillions of dollars get transferred like that every day, and it's expensive, and it takes like days or even like a week or more to transfer money across the world like that and get it exchanged. With Ripple, it's done in seconds with the XRP token, and it's way cheaper. It's like almost free, basically, for what they're paying now. So it's pretty incredible. There's a few like that, and yeah, it's a huge disruptor in currency exchange, in the currency exchange market on a global scale.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you a sense of the scale of this, like I looked it up, and there's between $5 and $6 trillion of foreign exchange traded per day. Now, a lot of that is in the dollar, which will continue. However, still, even a small piece of that is a lot
Yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
It's a
That's huge
lot of money.
demand for Ripple. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, the conditions which are there are really great, obviously, for stocks. Equally, we would say, they're also equally as good for crypto in general. All right, Ian, so we've done the stock market. We've kind of covered some of the things that we wanted to talk about with Bitcoin, which is the halving that's coming, a big bid probably from all the liquidity that is now flushed into the system from the Fed and then from the stimulus. And there's more coming. There's $1 trillion package coming from Japan. Europe is going to do it. So it's in many ways the best conditions ever for really crypto, both in terms of solutions as well as liquidity. So we've got some numbers out there. Check out some of our other videos. And it's a good point. Tell us, hey, if you like the content on this channel, please subscribe to our channel. Give this video a thumbs up and comment below on any of the things that we talk about. Okay, so let's move on to Tesla.
Yeah,
And Tesla stock is on the comeback trail.
it is for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's
And,
one of the big kind of disruptors in the market, of course. EV sales, they're dominating in the US. Now they're also, a big part of the market share in China. It was just reported that they sold 30% of the electric cars in China. Obviously, it's not an ideal market for autos right now, but they broke their own record for China sales, and they took a bunch of market share during a time where, that's, like I said, not expected that they would be doing well, but people there are buying Teslas. The Chinese economy is reopening. So it looks really, really good for them. And of course, last week they reported higher than expected car deliveries in the first quarter, which, was also heavily impacted by the lockdowns and everything like that. So yeah, Tesla is a stock that, another one that people are probably really skeptical of, just like when it went from 300 to 900, but there's a reason that it is valued the way it is, and it's because they're an innovator in electric cars. They're also the global leader for sure in automated driving. Their cars are the only ones you can get that have anything remotely close to like an autopilot feature. So yeah, they're an incredible company on the edge of multiple, multi-trillion-dollar industries in the future. So yeah, Tesla is another one that's going to get huge demand going forward for sure.
I feel like Kathy Wood of ARK Invest, her prediction of $4,000 seems completely doable. And you didn't mention the battery business, the
Yeah,
solar business either.
solar. Yeah,
Yeah.
they just started with their solar roofs too.
Yeah, and then one more business, which is mobility, which is that by function of being the leader in autonomous vehicle, in autonomy in terms of self-driving cars, they are the leader in autonomous vehicles. And the coronavirus panic, once again, is going to accelerate that. People
Right.
will want a clean environment to travel in. Public transportation is going to lose share. People
Yeah.
are going to, and so that is going to push the development of this and push it onto the fast track. And there's only three companies in this. There's Tesla, there's Google, and there's Uber.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, and Tesla, again, is way out in front of those. I mean, they've already got the autopilot feature in their consumer cars that you can buy right now. So yeah, the battery business, obviously, they're well known for their batteries. Their cars last like forever. And they've got the Model Y coming up, which is going to be a big hit. SUVs are huge. And then they've got the Cybertruck next year. Late next year, early 2022. So they've got years of demand that's going to fuel their growth for a long time.
Yeah, so we're still positive, very positive on Tesla, and feel like it's going to be a market leader, and it's still, remember, not in the S&P 500.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, when is that going to happen? When it's like $1 trillion company?
Yeah, who knows? All right, so let's now move to cannabis. Those stocks, as we expected, have gotten a bid. We looked this up before. MJ up so far, I believe, this week or last 5 days, up 10% already.
Yep. Yeah. Since I said last week, 100% sure that it's bottomed out, and it's up so far, so I can still say that.
And we looked this up so we could give you a statewide count. Oregon record sales, Illinois record sales, Massachusetts record sales. Okay, Washington D.C. is not a state; it's a territory. Also, record sales. And if we had enough time, we probably could count down state after
Yeah,
state that is hitting record sales.
I think California was in there too. They've had a huge boom in cannabis because those stores are still open, and people are at home. They don't have as much to do. There's a whole market transition from tobacco and alcohol to cannabis, so that's seeing a lot of demand right
And I believe that if they can add delivery to this, I
now.
mean,
Yeah, some of them are. Yeah, Nevada. Several places in Nevada have done 24/7 delivery for it.
yeah, sales just going to completely skyrocket. And some stocks are still in the process of bottoming out. I mean, Hexo today, it did a deal for a cheap price. However, there is still, even that many people would say as a negative. From my perspective, there was still somebody willing to put 40 million plus into a company,
Right.
and that's a large amount of money. And oftentimes, what happens is that once a liquidity issue is actually addressed, the stock now, that concern is now addressed by the company. Now people feel comfortable to come in and buy it, and now actually you'll start to see the stocks rise, because we saw that with other companies.
Yeah, and Hexo has done that several times, like within the past few months. They've done a bunch of share offerings. So, outside investors are putting tens of millions of dollars into this company that if you looked at just the stock price, you'd think that they were going to go like out of business soon. But they're getting so much money. Everybody wants to throw their money at these stocks while they're so cheap. So from here, I don't really see how they could get much cheaper at this point. It's really, really a great opportunity to buy.
Well, the greatest problem that any business has, Ian, is that they lack demand. Yeah, people don't want what it is.
Right.
One thing we can say with really high certainty,
Yeah.
there is no lack of demand for cannabis.
No, not at all. Yeah, especially in Canada and the U.S. where these companies are doing all their sales. So yeah, it's no lack of demand there. The stocks obviously are trailing that. It's not there's huge upside from here. They're not priced what they should be, but that's going to change for sure.
I mean, for sure, because you can look out 1, 3, 5 years, and it's very easy to see that these sales numbers are going to be not just higher, significantly higher,
Right.
higher. You go out, and as more liquidity comes to market, they'll price that out with rising confidence. And I believe you're going to see these stocks absolutely skyrocket.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Absolutely skyrocket. All right, Ian. So we've done our usual roundup of the stock market. We are still bullish, optimistic, and positive on the market. We do not believe in the primary, can we call it a meme yet? Is it powerful enough to call it a meme?
I mean, yeah, I would.
Yeah,
For
and that
sure.
was the retest the March bottom, because we actually think that investors are actually seeing what's going on in housing, seeing what's going on in online retail, seeing what's going on even relative to macro numbers. They were clearly expecting worse. Otherwise, the market would actually have gone down, and
Yeah.
seeing accelerating growth. And so we are still BOP, as say. And then on the other things, everything still continues to look really, really good, even though there is a lot of pessimism on for everywhere, really, for stocks, crypto, Tesla, Bitcoin, the cannabis,
Yep.
everything.
As usual. Yeah,
Well, we're the last optimist left out there. All
I
right,
know.
Ian. We'll call this Ian cast. We'll end this Ian cast now. You say goodbye first, and I'll wave everybody goodbye.
All right, everybody. Happy Friday. Have a great Easter weekend. Stay safe.
All right, and this is Paul saying bye.